Okay, we're going to have a look here at square roots. What do I mean by square roots? Well, we looked in a previous video at square numbers. And if you remember, we generated the list of square numbers by looking at the area of a square given its side length. Here's a square. We're going to say that it has an area of 25 centimetres squared. And we want to find the side length, which I'm going to call L. It's a square, so all of these sides are L. They're all the same. But how do we find it? Previously, when we were looking at square numbers, we multiplied L by itself, L times L, to get our area, which in this case is 25. Square roots means we're going in reverse. So, in this case, we know that L times by L equals 25. The question is, what's the number L? We're looking for a number that if we multiply it by itself gives us 25. Well, that has to be 5 times by 5 gives us our 25. And therefore our L, in this case, is 5 centimetres. Okay, so that's how we use area to find the length. And we're using a reverse process of squaring. And this is what is a square root. So the way we would write that is to say that the square root, we use this symbol which is like a tick with a line across the top. The square root of 25 equals a number that when you times it by itself gives you 25, which equals 5. And that's the way that you would write a square root. Now, going into an exam, the expectation is that you would know, you'd be able to generate these or instantly recall these square root number facts up to a certain level. Let's have a look at some of those now. So starting most simply, if we were to look at the square root of 1. Just like here, we're looking for a number that when it multiplies by itself equals 1. Number that multiplies by itself to give 1 is, of course, 1. Let's jump up to the next question, which is the square root of 4. We'll have a look at why I've jumped to 4 in a second. What does that mean? It's asking us what number, when you multiply it by itself, gives you the answer 4. That number has to be 2, because 2 times 2 equals 4. So the square root of 4 equals 2. I'm going to jump next to the square root of 9, which is asking us what number, if we multiplied it by itself, gives us 9. That has got to be 3. And using the same process, on we would go to say the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 equals 5. And you can see here now why I started to pick these numbers 1, 4, 9, 16. And they will echo something for you, I hope, which is we've seen in the previous video, which is actually the series of square numbers. When we multiply at this sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, multiply those numbers by themselves. So continuing then, the square root of 36 equals 6. Square root of 49 equals 7. The square root of 64 equals 8. Square root of 81 equals 9. Square root of 100 equals 10. Square root of 121 equals 11, because 11 times 11 equals 121. And finally, I'm going to write this one just here, the square root of 144 equals 12. And certainly up until this level, you would be expected to have that sort of recall of those number facts. Okay, but let's have a go at putting these into some use. and look at the sort of problem that you might face in an exam. If I was to say we have a square, and we know that the area of this square equals 81 centimetres squared. Note the units, centimetres squared, that's a unit of area. And supposing the question asks us not just to find the length of this square, the side length of the square, but to find the perimeter of the square. So we're looking at a two-step problem here. To find the perimeter of course being the distance all the way around the outside of the shape, and we know if we've got a side length of L, our perimeter therefore is L plus L plus L plus L, or 4 times L, which I'm going to write as 4L. So to find our perimeter, we need to find L first. Using our square root facts over here, we know that if we have an area of 81, we're going to use this one here. If we have an area of 81, well, the side length here must have been 9 centimetres. So we've found L equals 9 centimetres. Why? Because L times L, L squared, equals 9 times 9, which is 81. Once we've found L, well, it's very easy now to find the perimeter. Our perimeter equals 4L, which is 4 times by 9, which equals 36 centimetres. That's the perimeter around a perimeter of that square. And that's how we generate square roots, and that's how you might need to use them in an exam type question.
Okay, Mary, so let's have a look at this one. So solve x plus 2x equals 12. So what do you think you do first?
Okay, well, I want x on its own, so I would put x equals 12 minus 2x.
Okay, so a lot of the time we want to get x by itself, but what we want to do first is get all of these x's together. So can you see anything we can do with this? Get all these together in one place.
Oh, okay, it's 3x, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
3x equals 12. Oh, and so x equals 4.
Brilliant, spot on, well done.